And we are live. What's going
Yeah.
on, everybody? It is Monday. Happy Monday. It's the end of Black History Month, about to embark on a new month tomorrow. But
Yeah.
we got a great show ready for you guys, talking about NBA All Star game that seems far away, but
Hold on.
um,
Why we got the shortest month of the year? All right. That was a
well,
side.
I
Let's go.
mean, yeah, that is definitely factual. We've got the shortest month of the year, but as we said last episode, we black every day. We wake up
Every day.
black every single day. So
365.
exactly. So it lives on through us every single day. But before we get into some stuff that's happened in sports world, NBA All Star, whatever, let's talk. Let's do our mental check in. What's going on? How you feeling? How did you spend the weekend?
It was beautiful. I worked a little too hard, but the weekends, especially when I got my daughter, it's a beautiful time. She's 3.5. Don't forget her half.
Is she saying half now?
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't forget her half. Like
Oh
even if I
god.
just say three, it's not cutting it. Um, but it's such a blessing. We did a little daddy daughter dance, a little trampoline,
Yes, cute
indoor
pictures.
park. We had a good time. We
Yeah.
we had a good time. We got some church in. That's always important. One of the things I truly I thank my mother for instilling that in me when I was young, allowing me to develop a relationship with God. Because I know some folks without Him and they're adults, and it's I feel sad for them. But
There's always a
you,
test, and you need that little
you better know
extra
Him.
loving.
You better know Him. How about you, sis? How was your week? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I work weekends, so my actual weekends where I actually had off, mixing of running errands, catching up because I've been helping out with this AU team actually
Okay.
on Sundays, and so they're starting their AU season this week, and so they'll start practicing 3 times a week. And of course, I am tagging along, trying to get these girls off to
Get them
college
right.
and planning where they want to be, basically. So,
You got to do it. It's important.
yeah,
We had a lot of people that gave back not only time and resources to us, so it's only right that
exactly.
we do the same. So shout out to you for that.
Yep, for sure. Well, let's get into it. What
Let's
what
get it.
so NBA All-Star weekend. Let's talk about the weekend before we even get into the
Hmm.
game because the game was surprisingly and usually not the best part of the weekend. We're
Yeah,
talking about dunk contest, the best players in the world.
not this weekend.
We're
The
we're
dunk
talking
contest. The dunk contest was a flop,
definitely a flop.
and a lot of people felt that way. So that was a little unfortunate. But we had a big man, another Jersey guy. You know,
Yeah.
Carl
I
Anthony
didn't even know he was.
Townsend.
Why did I not know that he was from Jersey? Like I knew he
Yeah,
went. I knew he went to obviously went to school in Jersey, but I didn't know that he was like from Jersey. A lot of people, especially when they go up north, they live in New York or somewhere in
Jersey.
PA. He's from Jersey.
Yeah, he's a big Jersey rapper too. He let
Yeah.
everybody know. Big 7-footer won the 3-point shooting contest, which was it was nice to see. I think he was the most focused, clearly locked in, motivated,
Yes.
and clearly has the skill set to pull it off, in which he did. So shout out to the big cat.
Yeah.
The dunk contest, we'll save time on that. It wasn't it.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't even watch the highlights. It was just not it. Like when I'm looking at the comparison between Zach Levine, I don't even know what year that was. Maybe 2018, 19. Between that one and this, the one that we just watched,
a lot of antics, not a lot of dunking.
it wasn't
But
even antics. I mean, yes, the first round it was antics because obviously you want everybody to get involved and get all hype and stuff like that. But past that, it was a snooze show. Anyway,
underwhelming. Yeah,
yes.
underwhelming.
Moving on to the NBA All Star game where Steph Curry was on fire. I mean, he's on fire
Yeah,
9 out of 10 nights that he plays, but obviously at an all-star game you are there to put on a show for the fans, of course, but
sure.
also to show what you do at the highest level. And we know that everybody has their own thing, and Steph Curry is being the best shooter in the world.
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
50 points in the
50,
game,
a 50 piece.
and he would have been MVP if not for LeBron's team winning, as they do every year.
No, he was MVP, and LeBron's team did win. He was on LeBron's team.
Oh yes, he was on LeBron's team. That's a
but
brain
but you
fart,
know what?
guys.
You know what? It was. I think It was pretty cool because he was actually a part of the 75th annual uh, All NBA team,
Hmm.
which had some active players on it as well. But I think we can all say Steph Curry. Steph Curry did not go overlooked. He showed without a shadow of a doubt he is not only the best in the NBA right now, one of the best, but of all time. To see that shooting performance that the young man, I don't even know if you want to call him a young man, to see if that old crusty vet put on, it was impressive. He was unstoppable. They let him get going and they could not stop him. But he wasn't the only guy who had a great performance. Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid came out. He had a look in his eye. I think he wanted to prove something. He had
Yeah.
36, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot well from three, obviously inside of the paint. What do you think about that performance? And now, going into the second half of the season with a new teammate, how that may
Embiid's
propel Philadelphia.
Embiid's performance. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
think I think his play was as if he was just playing a game that was on the
yeah,
schedule. Like that, obviously with Steph Curry, they're not guarding him as tightly as they would in a game. He got this crazy range, shooting from half court, shooting from
hmm
logos. But Embiid's flow was literally like he was playing in a game.
yeah.
And I think it does work out for him because now he has another All Star on his team, in James Harden, who seems revitalized and seems to have dropped 15 pounds out of nowhere. Like he
Yeah,
just left the Nets, took a 2 hour drive down to Philly, and
lost 15.
lost 15 on the way.
He's,
Like that's crazy. But no, I think Embiid is. I've said it before, but Embiid is a dominant force. My
yeah.
thing with him all the time, me and my uncle Jeff, we argue about this all the time, is can he continue to play this way in the playoffs? Haven't seen it, but hey, we'll see.
Well, I think he's getting into that point in his career where he's a little fed up. I think he hears the chirps and people talking about, whether or not he can, like yourself, do it in the playoffs. I think he got that look in his eye. He's no longer just wanting to be an all-star, just part of the conversation.
Yeah,
A lot like another fella that played well, Giannis Antetokounmpo. These guys want to win now. They want championships. They want to be considered with the LeBrons and the Michael Jordans and some of the other, um, the, not only all-time great but all-time great big men. The
yeah,
Shaquille O'Neals. And in order to get into this conversation, they got to win
gotta
championships
win.
now.
Yeah.
So shout out to
Don't be like Charles Barkley.
don't be like Charles.
Don't
Chuck.
be like Chuck.
Don't be like Big Chuck. But
Yeah.
speaking of another guy that I just mentioned, Giannis Antetokounmpo, his intensity is still next to none. The way that this guy plays, I don't think that he's ever picked up a basketball and gone half speed. I mean, this brother, he's gonna play ball now.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you think about not only his all-star performance, but just his energy and effort that he puts in, night out, which takes a whole different level of commitment.
Yeah.
What can you say about this guy?
Yeah, I think some people are just wired differently, and I really think that
Sure.
that's how Giannis is. But I also think it has to do with the pace that he plays with. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he practices with that pace, that he is shooting at that pace when it's just him and a
Yeah.
rebounder. So it's something that's ingrained in him, that eager mentality to not only be the best, but to be the best scorer, be the best
Yeah.
defender on the court, be the best passer on the court. Whatever he's doing, it seems like he wants to be the best at. My biggest tip of the hat to him is really just his duality. Like, obviously people
hmm
say, when he's out there on the 3 point line, he shouldn't be out there, he shouldn't be shooting. But the fact that he can stretch his game even to become a
Yeah.
threat, and he's not a 3 point threat, but the fact that he can stretch his game and become a 3 point threat in games
Yeah.
where his opponents might not be expecting it.
hmm
That's a huge deal, especially in the playoffs, because we all have seen him last year. He did what he had to do, and it just comes down to him being a consistent force in the paint and him being able to pull out of his range a little bit.
Well, I want to add one thing because I don't know if we've ever had an NBA's final MVP be the most improved player,
Yeah,
but I've watched some games this year and to watch his mid-range game off the dribble, and even be able to stretch out and actually shoot um, somewhat consistently, percentage-wise, from the three-point line for a big man. along with his free throw shooting, which he struggled with last season and still was able to overcome to win a championship.
Yep.
This cat could be in a conversation for most improved, and I think rightfully so. The amount of work he's obviously putting in the off season, on his off days to
Yeah.
get better. He's far from satisfied. It shows. He wants more.
Yeah. I
He wants
think
more.
I was gonna say I think in the eyes of those who vote, he probably will not be the most improved player, because you got to think about guys like John Morant. Obviously, he's in
Yeah,
conversations for MVP and most improved. You think about Darius Garland in Cleveland, who's putting up
sure.
numbers for them,
I like
been
him.
lights out all season long. So there's some younger players, and I guess I don't even want to say less experienced, because they're starters on their teams.
Yeah.
But there are some other players that probably are leading that. But I totally understand, and it is all about expanding your game, because you
Hmm.
don't want to be guardable, especially if you're trying to become on the caliber of LeBron, or a Kobe, or a Magic Johnson. Like, you have to and add
Yes.
some more to your game every single time you show out.
Yeah.
But when you talk about what we think about, I guess, as a traditional post player, a lot of the names that I see on this NBA 75th anniversary team, these are players who changed the game. Obviously, Steph Curry's changing the game from the guard's perspective, and being a lights out shooter. But when you think about post players, we
Yeah.
obviously have our Dennis Rodmans who bang down in the post, but Magic Johnson being one of the first post players to show that, hey, I'm not just gonna stand down here in the paint and get beat up every night. Like, no, I
Yeah.
got some skill out there on the wing too. So I think you're seeing the transition of the guys that came before and who added to their game, and the
Hmm.
guys who are currently playing and being like, no, I want to be like a Magic. I want to be like a
Yeah.
Gary Payton.
Well, let's not get it confused. We're talking about two of the best guards in Gary Payton, but Magic, one of my
Yeah.
favorite players of all time. Those who don't know, I wore 32 and 33 in high school. Uh, I ain't gonna talk about it. Long story. I lost my away jersey, but both Magic's numbers in both college and pro, respectively. But the way he played the game, obviously, as a big man, 6'8", 6'9", being able to facilitate, being able to run the fast break, get the ball to his teammates, play make guys around him better. He had some good guys by the name of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and James Worthy's. Um, other guys who are rightfully all stars and top 75 players.
Yeah.
But to watch Magic, he was the mesh that brought all these guys together. But we're seeing it just across the NBA and across basketball in general, not only in college, but in high school, to see these 6 foot 8, 9, 10, 7 foot kids being able to handle the ball,
The ball. Yeah.
um, being able to make plays, not only for themselves, but for their teammates. And I think it's what the game has come to. Giannis is falling right in the suit, because this guy is a 7 footer and he can pretty much do it all.
Yeah, for sure. He's fun to watch. He's definitely fun to
For sure.
watch. So we talked about it at the jump, last day of
Hmm.
Black History Month. And I think we might have talked about it early on in the month, is that for me at least, it's been a lot of kind of sitting and thinking and just reflecting a lot on kind of where we are. I wrote a story, and when I say we, I mean as a society, where we are with Black culture, accepting it, point blank period, just really not being racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I actually worked on a story that was just published today about college athletics, and how do we get it from being, oh, we want college athletics to be a diverse space, versus, okay, let's make it a diverse space. What does that
Right.
actually look like? So I was able to sit down with two female Black, one was an AD and one is a head coach for a softball team, who gave me such great insight about
Wow.
how we bridge that gap. And really, it is in the power of white males who see the value of Black women in these spaces, and Black women and men, Black people in these spaces, in order to see the change that we all talk about at the professional
Hmm.
level. Why does the NFL have Black coaches? Why does the NBA only have 12, 13 Black coaches?
Hmm.
Nothing's being done at the college level. It has
Yeah.
to be in the hands of the presidents and the chancellors of these universities to be like, hey, let me bring in a Black AD, a
Yeah.
qualified AD that
Yeah.
happens to be Black.
Sure.
So really just changing the thinking of how, of really the systems that a lot of these programs, a lot of these companies, a lot of these associations, leagues are built on.
Hmm.
Is really what I think I've taken away for the most part, especially covering Black history within sports this year. So, what about you?
Well, I think it's a great point, and just to kind of respond to what you were talking about, I think it's a matter of comfortability. A lot of these gentlemen who make these decisions, being white males, they go with comfortability. Guys they're familiar with, from behavior to mannerisms, all of these things. I think, even seeing their sons, their nephews in these different people, it's we're seeing the youngest head coaches ever that we've
Yeah.
seen. It, you know, they're being vouched for by other guys that are well respected. Um, but even just in society in itself, I think it comes back to ownership. I think we need to get into the position of ownership so that we can make these decisions not only in sports but in politics and life in general here in America, which brings me to my point and one of my passions and how I want to make an impact, not only in our society but for our people. And it's real estate, it's ownership, it's owning. If you own enough of the block, then you get to choose who makes the decisions.
Yep.
We can obviously talk about it till we're blue in the face, and I think that having those conversations are very important. Having them openly and understanding one another is part of the growth. But I also think there's an action behind it. And my action is to own. I want to look. I want to buy the whole block because that's what's going to change. Not only financially, it's going to kind of even the scales out. But for me, I just think it's important. I think the future of sports and equality in it will be having black owners.
Yep.
We want to make a difference by the team,
Yep.
by the team. Create our own leagues and get into that space where we make the decisions. We don't have to ask anymore. We can make those decisions to put the people that are qualified, that happen to look like us, into those positions, because the percentage of athletes that are stars and that play in these leagues are uh, lopsided in our
Yeah.
in our stance. So it's just up to us to really start getting the right mindset, understanding the power of ownership. Um, and for me, it's in real estate. I enjoy it. I'm passionate about it, and we get into
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, I totally feel that. And actually, you talking about ownership, I got an email about NBA players and a few WNBA players, and there are a few former NFL players who have all
Hmm.
come together and invested in this media outlet where they will be putting out their own information about athletes, and so that the news, they're really controlling the narrative here. Like the
For
news will
sure.
be from athletes about the athletes, and so I think that's a cool concept. Not sure when it's coming out, but something that is definitely being worked on for me, and how I hope to make a difference when it comes to young women and especially black women is mentorship. Like I know
Hmm.
that that's so important to me. My mentor, Monica McNutt, just seeing it's crazy because I always tell people, like, when I see her on TV, because she's on ESPN now as an analyst, does sideline, does hosting, and I'm always just like enamored from her, like seeing her up there, because I've talked to her before she even got to that point. Like I've been able to share experiences with her and her journey, and how long it took for her to get to that point. And I think it's important for other young women not only to see it, but to understand what it's like to walk in that person's shoes.
Yes.
And while you might not be able to deliberately, do everything that they're doing, it was Monica McNutt who took me under her wing and asked her producers if I can shadow her for a tournament, an entire tournament where I literally did nothing but follow her around to see
Right.
who she was communicating with, what she was doing to prepare herself to be on set. And for those who don't know, my background and what I wanted to do professionally is broadcasting. So that was huge to me. So
Hmm.
experiences like that and being able to live through the people that you admire and the people you have relationships with, who are doing exactly what you want to do, or somewhere close to it. So that would be my biggest thing. I said I've gotten into an AU program here, helping
Yeah.
with coaching, because obviously sports, basketball is going to be my first love. And those are just a few ways that I plan to give back. But really, it is by example. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, I'm giving
Yeah.
back by doing what I love to do at the highest level, hopefully one day. And you know, hopefully
Yeah.
somebody else will be touched by that.
And that's what it's about. And same goes for me. You know, if anybody that knows me know if there's a young athlete out there that asks me whether I'm in the gym, whether I'm mid set, mid rep, hey, they got a question. I'm gonna take the time to answer, and there's value in it. I
Yeah.
probably get more of a feeling of satisfaction out of that than probably they do. I probably enjoy the moment more than they do because I can go back to moments as a kid where there were guys that were at where I was trying to get that took the time, and it's only right that we return a favor. Even our father, one of the most giving men as far as with his time and other athletes. Um, it's impressive to me that grown men. I'm 33 years old. That there's grown men out there who said, "Man, the closest thing that I had to a father figure was your dad. His
Yeah.
consistency,
Yeah.
picking me up for practice, and that says a lot." So
Yeah.
we had a great role model in that stance, and I think that we're doing nothing but returning the favor and passing it on in a good way. So
Yeah. For sure.
shout out to you and him.
So, next
What,
up,
what we got next?
we've got this band that you educated me on because I wasn't
Yeah,
aware of it. You want to talk about it a little bit?
yeah, drill music. For the youngsters out there, you're
Drill
listening to
music. What
drill
is
music.
what is drill music? Let's start there.
Um, let's be frank. It's code for kill music. It's that's what it's. It's violent. It's guys, and unfortunately talking about their real situations and circumstances, living in these inner cities, having to survive, detailed stories. But New York's mayor, he's about to put a stop to it. He's met with some guys, Mano and some other rappers who these guys are trying to put a ban to it because they think that it's affecting the youth, which we know music does, but it's putting a spike in the violence in not only New York City, but I think around the country and in a lot of neighborhoods
Yeah.
in general. New York's mayor, Eric Adams, he said he's done with it. He wants to stop playing it, stop promoting it. He wants to promote something that's a little more positive. And I can't say that I blame this brother. As much as I enjoy a little drill when I'm in the gym, I'm on that type of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does have an effect on the youth, and they believe anything they hear. I mean, they're that's why we call them the youth. They're young and
Yeah.
impressionable. But the music game, it has to change. We're promoting it too much.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about this? Because we've had some of the hottest up and coming artists lose not only their career but lose their lives to gun violence, and a lot of those guys promoted it in their music. What do
Yeah.
you feel about drill and the effects of it?
So how I feel, I mean, okay, so how I feel about drill is a little bit different from what I was about to say. So how I feel about drill, I think it's a just like any type of music, it's a way for artists to express themselves.
Sure.
I don't have any bad feelings about it. Those who listen to it, I don't think I listen to it much. I'm trying to think of like a drill artist I would know. But with that
Low
being,
dirt.
oh, is he? Lil Durk is
Yeah.
that's drill music though. Like his album would be drill music.
I mean, that's kind of how you come up. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a particular beat.
That's what I'm
But
thinking of the beat, like when it's like, yeah, I guess yeah, because I could actually
but
think
a
of
lot
some
of
lyrics
the
right
message.
now.
Yeah, it's a lot of the message.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I do think it has, like you said, I think it has its effects for sure. But when I think about like violence,
Hmm.
or how music impacts spikes of violence, I think about like Baltimore because I lived in Baltimore for about a year and a half, and
Okay.
the pandemic had started right when I moved there, and I think also the pandemic, along with this music, isn't helping.
Yeah, for sure.
But just like everything else, kids, youth gravitate to things that are popular.
Right.
So I think the promoting of it is what needs to be stopped. I don't think that these artists necessarily need to stop doing it because that's how they make their money. That's what their passion
Yeah.
is. However, I do think the promotion of it, and I also think it needs to come from not only like radio, not having it on the radio and stuff, but other artists. They need to promote their music. Like
Hmm.
the radio stations, I mean, they need to be promoting their music over drill music, so to speak.
Yeah.
When I compare artists, a lot of times my favorite artist is J. Cole.
Okay.
He is, very much a lyricist, and he doesn't happen to talk about drugs and killing people all the time.
Right.
But he does talk about, you know, adult things like intercourse and things like that. And so
Hmm.
pick your poison, really, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter really who is saying what, but it needs to come from the radio stations to prioritize what music they're going to choose. It needs to come from the parents to make sure
Hmm.
that your kid's not out here in the streets.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, the music doesn't tell, hey, Joe, hey, Ben, let's go to this corner over here and rob a store and shoot the attendant of the store for no reason. I
Right.
think it. I think really the onus needs to come back to the parents,
Hmm.
because the senselessness of it all is really what I think is targeting. And then I also go back to say, last point, for Baltimore, something similar to what the mayor in New York is doing is trying to eliminate all the factors, right?
Right.
Because violence in Baltimore, I don't know what it stemmed from. And no one really knows what it
Hmm.
stems from. However, we're going to try this. We're going to try this to see if it works. We're going to try this to see if it knocks down a few less deaths per year.
Hmm.
So I
Right.
think that is really what the stride from the New York City mayor is doing, is trying to eliminate any of the factors that could be contributing to violence, because we know that it's more than music, but
Yeah.
it does. It could have an
Well,
effect.
well, things have changed. Not only is it the drill, but it's the drug abuse culture. We hear it throughout the lyrics in a lot of different songs. Some of my favorites, rest in peace, Mac Miller, guys that I listen to,
Yeah.
and it's like um, they're clearly struggling with it. And the reality is most of these artists, they put their truth, and I say most because some of y'all be lying, but most of these artists put their truth in their music, and that's what makes it authentic. That's what makes it believable, and relatable.
Yeah.
But we've seen over the past 2, 3, 4 years, between the two, gun violence being one and overdoses being the other, drug abuse, that we're losing a lot of great talent. And for me, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it because this kind of ages me. I'm Like I said, I'm 33. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my magic year, but growing up, I listened to the Jay-Z's. It was the hustle. It was getting
Yeah.
money. It
Yeah.
was how can I make a play, get money, do better for me, my guys, my family, my team.
Yeah.
Now it's like I wanna do drugs till I pass out. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I don't get or understand when it became cool or why it became cool. Like
Yeah.
get you some money, take care of your people, and get out the way.
Well, I think it became cool because there became an influx of artists, rappers from those experiences. Like,
Yeah,
and when you think about it, the Jay Z's and stuff, even though they weren't rapping about it, there were kids who were listening to Jay Z, going through the worst of the worst in whatever
for
city
sure.
they're from, and they just like, man, how can I make this like, how can I make this my job? Like doing what Jay Z does, how can I and tapped into their reality, like you said. And so it really is just different experiences, but I think them parents, they need to get a little tighter grip.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel it. I feel it. We wanted more. Jay-Z was giving us plays on how to improve, how to be better, and it shows today.
Yeah.
He's still around. He's still
Yeah.
thriving. A businessman.
So do
I'm
you
not a
think that
businessman. I'm a business man. Let me
do
handle
you
my business.
do you think that drill music will eventually fall off? Will it not have as much longevity in the business?
I unfortunately I have to say I don't believe so. I think it's going to continue because that's what the streets are. The music is just a reflection of what the streets are. Back in the day, it was get money. It wasn't about being a killer. That was a lane.
Hmm.
Now it's like to be in the streets, to be a guy, to be important or relevant. It's like who have you harmed? And it's sad to say, but that's the reality of what's going on for those young cats. And I heard STG, who's one of the rappers I listen to, another guy out of Kentucky, and it's like he talked about it. He's like, man, it's not about who's the richest, who get money, who got the most chicks anymore. That's what it was in my day. So you
Yeah.
had the chicks, the whips, the
Yeah.
chains. You was the
That's so
man.
funny.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you was the man. Now it was like, who got the most murders?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, it's easy to do a murder, like you know what I'm
yeah.
saying, like. But that's I think we need to change it. I think we need guys like Lil Babies who are super relevant.
Hmm.
Guys like Lil Durk who are super relevant to change lanes, to get back to making good music that doesn't revolve around that. Because the reality is, most of these rappers are imitating the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. They're imitating the best, just like they did with Wayne for a decade or two. They're
Yep.
imitating the best. So it's going to take the leaders in the game um, to make and set the trends of what's cool. And I think guys like Lil Baby are doing it because I listen to Baby all the time, and it's like he talking about how can I make a play, give me some money, what
Yeah.
I came from, not what he's trying to go backwards and do. So,
Yeah.
um,
You know, crazy that you just said this because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the
mhm.
title of our episode. But
Okay.
imitating the best,
Huh?
because when you think about the All Stars we were just talking about, and then versus the NBA '75 team, and I always see when they put like Embiid and Kobe Bryant's videos together
Yeah.
of him doing the fadeaway on the block or the corner. Um, versus what we just talked about, artists imitating the best, and
Hmm.
what is next? Social media, the
Right.
gift and the curse. Because social media started off as a place for us to create community, to share things, to learn. All of these great things that it was created for in the beginning now has kind of turned into a place to spread misinformation. And it's literally the
Cap.
home.
What they say? What y'all used to say? Cap.
Cat, for real though. Like it has literally become the home for
Yeah.
manipulating and
Never mind.
creating everything that is not. It's it's crazy. And we've talked about it. Taking our breaks is necessary, but I'm talking about me. I'm personally almost there.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
almost at my wits end with social media of just like taking a step back.
It's all fake. It's all fake. Everybody, half of these people you see on there pretending to have money, don't have two nickels to rub together, or half of these people on there, pretending to be happy when they struggling. And it's okay to struggle, because we're human.
Yeah.
But instead of getting on and pretending, I think we need to actually get the help. But again, it's an imitation, and social media uh, promotes it. I think it's causing a lot more people to imitate others. We got middle aged white moms doing kids of 13 doing dances of 13-year-old kids
Yeah.
from New York. It's like be you. There's value in authenticity.
Yeah.
There's value in
And I think
authenticity.
that social media has stumped some people from even finding what their true authentic self is, because especially
Yeah.
when you start so young now. Like I think I was watching something and they were like, oh, this kid didn't he wasn't on social media from between the ages of like 12 and 17, so his parents
Hmm.
gave him $1,000 because that was like the bet, I guess, when he was turning a teenager. Like,
Okay.
don't be like, if you don't make a social media account from here, I'll give you $1,000, when it's really just like, good for you, dude. Like, I wish I didn't have social media from when I was 13 to 14 or 12 to 14. I mean 12 to 17. Like, there's so much that you avoid by not having that. And there's so much that you learn about yourself, about the world, that isn't skewed by the perception of what people are saying about that topic. You're learning it from those experiences rather than
Yeah.
learning an experience from someone else who could or could not be telling the truth.
How about the time? How about the time that's invested daily? I mean, we can all log on right now,
We can look
hop
on
on
our
our
phones.
iPhones
Yeah, and
and
it tells
see
you.
our screen time between what apps, how much time is wasted looking through the screen at somebody who's very likely not producing the truth,
Yep.
who's putting on a facade.
Yep.
That time alone could be the difference in you creating a successful business, between you writing a book, putting some thoughts out there, becoming an artist, becoming a poet,
Yep.
elevating in your business, elevating in yourself, doing self work. And I think, as much as we talk about it, we need to get back to that, log off. How about this? How about what if Instagram and Twitters and all of these different social medias, what if we had a time on it? What if it was only open from 9 to 5? What would we
Well,
do then?
technology, kids, because iPhones do that now. Bet
Huh?
you didn't know that. Yeah, you have to set it up.
Okay.
You do have to set it up, but you can say I can only use this app for 1 hour out of the day or 2 hours. Because
Huh?
my friends have told me that they've done that, and they've even seen like I guess like a yearning for like wanting to do other things now, like when they're
Yeah.
not on social media, because like they literally like you try to open it, it's not gonna open, and so it's like okay, well now what?
Right. How about read a book? Huh? I'm gonna refer one to y'all right now. One of my favorites, Dr.
Read a
Newberry.
book.
Success is not an accident. This is one of my favorites. This is like a guide to life for me. If you want to get something done, you want to avoid procrastination, you want to start something, you want to just improve. Uh, Check it out.
Yeah,
Success is not an accident.
yeah.
Little quick plug.
Well,
Shout out
I
Dr.
think that's
Newberry.
our message to the viewers. Read a book. I hear
Read a book.
if you read, people 9 out of 10 times, people will think you are way smarter than what you are when you're having conversations with them because your vocabulary goes up,
Yeah.
your interaction of just being able to read, like interactions in a book, goes up. Like just pick up a book.
And it's free gaming. There's a whole lot of free game in those things.
Well, book's not free, but but it's okay. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to this episode. I'm pretty sure it's Imitating the Best will be the title. We
Yeah.
plugged it in right here, but make sure you guys follow us on social media, which will be down in the description. And yeah, see you guys
Peace
next time.
and love.